In this video, we'll use the melt function in order to produce a tidy data version of perfs.df so that we can more easily use it with ggplot. So here's what, so first of all, in order to use melt, you need to say library reshape2. So because every time that you knit your RMD file, you start from scratch, you need to say library reshape2 here. So now what you use melt for is, first I'll show you the example. So you would say melt perfs.df, and then you would say 1. And here's what you get. You get the sizes in one column, you get a variable column, which is either train perf or valid perf now, and you get the value, which is the performance. Now, so what the 1 means, if you look at perfs.df before, is that the sizes are not really values. So the sizes still are basically like defining what it is that we're measuring. On the other hand, what it does with the other columns, it just stacks them on top of each other, right? So it stacks this column on top of this column, and then it just says, well, this was train perf, this was valid perf. So, okay. So here we'll use this, and we'll say R. So I'll say let's use ggplot. By the way, this would display in a kind of fixed width font so that you'll know that it's like a technical thing. So in a more sophisticated way by converting our data frame to the tidy format first. Okay, so I'll say perfs.tidy, like so, is this. So now perfs.tidy is just what we saw before. So once I've tried it, I can put it in my block here. And now what I'll do is I'll say ggplot perfs.tidy. And now, because here I have a column that says this is train, but this is valid, I can actually map the color to this variable column. All right. So, and we'll change it to look a little bit nicer in a second. So, but for now, I'll say ggplot perfs.tidy, and I'll say mapping is, so x is going to be sizes still, so we still have sizes, and then y is going to be value, and then we'll say that the color is the variable, right? So because then it's going to plot in one color the things that came from the data with train.perf, and in another color it'll plot the data that came from valid.perf. So that's exactly what we wanted, and it'll also give us the legend automatically. So let's see what it does. Make it in close bracket here. Close, and this of course was not the right thing, so this is ggplot, and this is fine, and now this is going to be fine, but it's not going to show us anything. But if I say plus geom smooth, and I'll say this, it'll show the curves, and here it'll give us the legend automatically. Now, this is not necessarily the nicest kind of name. So what we might consider doing is just renaming the columns in perfs.tidy. So what I'll do is I'll say this rename, and now I'll say, so sizes is still good, although like maybe you want to say size rather than size it, because here it's nicer to say size. And then we'll say that the value is going to be the performance. So that's going to be value, or say like correct classification rate or something. And then instead of variable, we probably want to say set. So say set equals to variable. So now things are going to look like this. So here I have size, and here I have set, and here I have performance. Now train.perf is probably not the nicest kind of name either, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll say perfs.tidy. So wherever perfs.tidy set is equal to train perf, and this is going to be set. So maybe what I want to call it is just train. And maybe I want to do the same thing for valid. So here I'll say valid. And here I'll say valid. So after I've run this, perf. So here there was a bit of a problem, so let's restart this. So, so here it's okay, so this is good. Now it will not allow us to do this because this is a factor. So first what we'll do is we'll convert this to character. I think I did something else in the other solution set. So I'll say perf.tidy, say train, say set, and then I'll convert it to character. So this is the kind of thing which is not necessarily super intuitive, and you just get there by trial and error and from experience. So now I've converted this to character, except, yeah, and now it will complain. So now if I look at perfs.tidy, I see train and I see valid. And now if I plot things, so here of course I need to say y is equal to performance. That's just because I've renamed the column to performance, and set is going to be, the color is going to be set. So this is just a typo. And now I'll close this. So here the issue was here perfs tidy, so I did not close a bracket here. So let me close it. So this is not working. So let's see what perfs.tidy is. So perfs.tidy, so here it's size. Okay, so this should be size. Let's try it again. Now it works. And now let's try it. And now it displays nicely. So that is what we want to keep. So you might consider putting those things in separate chunks. And I'll say convert to tidy. And I'll say something like display the graph. And you see here, because we had the table in tidy format, because we had like train and valid here, as opposed to having two separate columns for train and valid, we could just map the set column to color, which produced two curves. We could not have done that before. So now let's try to knit it. There's going to be one tiny error probably. So the problem here is, so it complains about something. So what you might get from it is, oh, like could not find function this. So that kind of probably means that you forgot to include some library. So what we'll do is in here, I'll just say, like you could say dplyr, or you could just say library tidyverse, which we've done a couple times. And that'll solve all your problems as far as including things like dplyr and reshape2 and ggplot2 and so on. But here, let's just say dplyr. So let me knit again. And here you get the graph again. So if you want a PDF file, all you need to do is you need to say knit to PDF. And here you'll get something like this. Now, if you knit to PDF, you need to really be careful about lines that are too long and stuff like that, because a PDF, of course, is like the same size as an actual piece of paper. So if you go over, then you'll see that and it won't look nice. Okay.